My name is Sadah Proctor. I'm a senior theater arts major at Virginia Tech with a minor in Africana Studies. Mostly like in church. There's different ways of if you're praying or if you're reading your Bible, um, I find that the best way for me is to like when I'm reading just like be silent and like while I'm reading, just like be open, be listening. There's a certain word for it. It's lecto divina. I think so. I think there's like a time where there's so much stuff going on during the day. There's like different activities, there's meetings, there's schedules, there's homework, there's rehearsals for many, many hours. And there's a time where you just kind of have to be still and just kind of step back from everything, just breathe, just relax, and then continue to go about your day, but really have some time to like set aside for you, because like there's so many things that you have to do um, with other people or for other people, and that's great, but a lot of times we forget about ourselves in the process. Well, I personally have a bit of like problems with dealing with stress or anxiety. So, just always reminders from my family to, try my best. And, the one person that I'm competing against is myself, even though I'm in college with other students, really the goal is like self improvement, and whether that's in your work or as a person, you want to grow. So, just reminders from like friends and family to just, always take a step back. There's this tendency, I guess, in my industry, as I will realize later, in theater, to accept every project that you're doing, especially now that I'm going to be graduating in December. And it's like I want to find so many opportunities to fill my portfolio up, to get hands on experience. And it's very easy to get caught up in doing all of that stuff. And it's very easy to fill your schedule with nothing but those activities. And it's very possible. And there's, if you are able to handle that, I guess there's nothing wrong with it if that's what you want. But at the same time, there is that time that you have to set aside for yourself, because not just for your own personal well-being, like you want to grow as an artist in your field. You want to broaden your horizon. You want to learn new things from other people. And sometimes you can't do that if you're constantly like working or constantly moving forward without really stepping back and analyzing everything. Sure. Well, I just joined the laptop orchestra this semester, and it's been a really great experience. I was in the computer music and multimedia class last semester, and right now I'm in the second half of it. And I decided to give a shot at the laptop orchestra because learning about how programs like Pure Data work, we're using something called Max MSP, learning how those programs work and really how to configure the programs that people end up using, is a very different way of approaching a problem, and it's very intuitive. But as the programmer, there's so many things that you could do with technology, especially since there's new inventions every day. And I figured that joining the laptop orchestra would not only help me to get back into performing, which is what I love to do, but also to look at it from a user's perspective. Itzo gave a story to us one time about how for the Wii modes that they used, they programmed it so that if you press the up button it does this and the right button does this, and there's so many buttons on the Wiimote, and then if you turn it this way and if you slash it this way, and they programmed it to do so many things. But at the end of the day, when someone has to actually use it, it's like what what is the most effective way for someone to use this program. So for me, I would like to see the intersection between theater and music and visual arts, and also with technology. But in order for me to have a broader understanding of that, I think looking at it from a user's perspective is one of the best ways. Basically, we come to practice. Yin Zhou has a couple of pieces that had already been written before I had arrived, and so we learned how to we learned the Tai Chi, the Pong and Lu, and then we learned how to use the Wiimote, and then how to be able to perform and do all that stuff together, because learning the controls and then learning motions and then putting them together is a bit more difficult than most people realize. But it didn't take too long, but to really get more comfortable with it and almost make it second nature, it involves a little bit of your own personal commitment while we're at rehearsal. And recently we've been working on a new piece called Between, and we're going to be doing it next week when we go to Philadelphia. And we've just been bouncing ideas back and forth. We asked about dubstep. That's something that you could definitely do with technology and computers, and it's, pretty popular now. So we wanted to do like a dubstep inspired piece, something that's still very ambient but still has a little bit of a edge to it. And so we've pretty much bounced ideas back and forth. Issa would configure for us like the chords or percussion or bass. Those are 3 parts that we have now, and we've tested it out. We've played around during rehearsal and gave him our input, and then he'd go back and fix something and then take it back to us, and we would do something all over again. And yeah. Not so much. That's something that he does. There are independent studies. I know that if someone wanted to help with that, they would be able to, but to my knowledge, I don't know if anyone has stepped to it yet.
Okay.
I think so. There is, especially now with, if you think about like social media, like Facebook or Twitter, everything is so constant. Everything is constantly updated, everything is moving, there's always something going on, whether it's super like important like news, or if it's just your music, your local music star just had a concert or something. There's always something happening, whether, news or your friends. And it's very easy to stay plugged into that, because that is a really big part in how we socialize and how we go about our day-to-day activities. But it's still important to not just step back, but also be able to interact with people in real life. Calling, sadly, is now real life, but calling on the phone or just getting together with a friend, those are the things that we don't do as much anymore. And really that human interaction, that human connection, I think is also another way of contemplative practice, especially nowadays when everyone is so plugged into the internet. I think so. Virginia Tech is very big on technology, and right now it's really trying to invest in the arts, and I think that's important. It's not. Some people say it's a gimmick. They just want to do the arts just so they could say we have arts. But if you look at the arts programs at Virginia Tech, they're really, really well. They have outstanding students who do brilliant work and come up with new ideas every day, and to really invest in the arts here and still incorporate that with the technology that is so important here is, I think, Virginia Tech's own way of saying, like, here are different practices that we have. I think it'll get there. I think people are tuning into those practices. I think that people are realizing like what we do every day and how to step back from that, or how to not always just step back, but still be able to do what we're doing and still be able to be aware of what's going on with ourselves. And so I think in some ways it's not mainstream yet, and it's becoming more apparent, but I think it still has a ways to go. I think it's a slow and steady thing. There are people that are doing it as a fad, and I feel like when you pick up anything new, it always starts off as a fad. It's not like the gluten-free diet. People pick that up and say, okay, I'm gonna stop eating gluten in all my food. And at first, it's a fad. Everyone is doing it right now, but there are people that I think will realize that that actually works with the lifestyle that they want to have or that they already have, and so it turns into a lifestyle. So at first, it's just going to be something that, it's the next big thing that everyone's doing, oh, let's all step back and relax and breathe and, say all of these things. But there are people who will eventually realize, like, that is something that they actually want in their life. I don't think so. I don't think it's a peer pressure thing. I think it's more of an observance of what other people are doing, and you look at your life and you say, okay, well, maybe I could try this thing, and maybe then I could try this next thing, and it just keeps adding on, and then suddenly you want to try everything, and then after that you step back and say, okay, these are the things that I actually want to keep in my lifestyle, and I think that's how it would go. I think for mental health awareness, yes. Aside from that, probably not. I think so. I think certain cultures that just had that within their lifestyle, within their mindset, I think with globalization, that's crossed over to other countries, to other places, and people are becoming aware that there is such a thing. And they're able to pick it up as well. And so, yeah, I think so. I think being genuine about it is a big thing. Again, like I had said, it starts off, I personally think it starts off as a fad. And there are some people who might see that as in its fad phase and be turned off by it, when there are some people that are really trying to change their life. So I think that, over time, mostly prayer, church, reading my Bible. Also, I dance. I forgot to mention that before. Sometimes when I'm stressed out, turn on music. I'm in my apartment and just kind of just go. I'm not really worried about, is my foot pointed properly or am I completely on balance? There is that sense of freedom in it. And so for me, that's one way. Writing for me is another way. I just open a page and just start writing. Sometimes if I don't have anything on my mind, I just say I don't know what to write, or I just keep repeating that over, or I just copy something that I find really important to me, that's meaningful, so that there is stuff flowing through my mind like, yes, this is important to me, and this reminds me of this other thing, and then I just keep going. So those are three of my ways of doing that practice. I haven't been to. It was just the talk yesterday before we performed, and what he had to say was, it was interesting. It was different. I wasn't expecting a lot of what he was saying. It's just in my mind. I was like, yes, yeah, we do that. I don't drive, but I know when I'm in a car, I'm definitely not thinking about being on the road. I'm thinking about 5 million other things. So yeah, definitely. I feel that there's with genetically modified foods, and I'm not going to name any company names, but I feel that people are becoming more aware of what we put into our body and how it makes us feel. And some people might say that there's nothing that you can do about it, but there are other people that are really becoming aware of what they think makes them feel a certain way or what doesn't. I know for me, when I'm at home, and this happened all up until I got to college, I didn't have junk food in my house. My mom didn't buy soda. She didn't buy chips. The only time she ever did was when my cousins came over my house. And then she would say, go to the store, here's some money, buy what you want, make sure you eat all of it before you leave or take it with you. And when I got to college, there's like candy everywhere, there's soda, and, just want to eat and drink all of that stuff. And when I go home, I don't realize until I get home that certain foods are, there's nothing wrong with snacking, but certain foods, when I eat them a whole lot, it does not really make me feel any better. One thing I also know is that in certain neighborhoods, there just aren't enough healthy options. At my high school, we were next to a hospital, and the hospital had, I think, an ordinance that there was to be no fast food places within a certain radius of that hospital. Meanwhile, I can go to another hospital in another neighborhood, and down the road and around the corner, there's a McDonald's, there's a Burger King, there's not that many healthier options. And again, there is nothing wrong with, junk food, everyone engages in it once in a while, but when those are your only options, you don't really tend to have as many options as to what you put into your body. It's more of a matter of what's available and what's affordable. Yes, there is. There are certain vocal exercises that people do. There's certain movement exercises that people do. I know last semester I was in a play, and I don't really have my own warm-up regimen just yet. I'm still working on it. But one of my professors, he does Tai Chi before he goes into rehearsal, and before he goes into a performance, and that's his way. There are people that are in the hallway, lying on their back. They're just breathing in and out very slowly. There's always a certain mindset that you have to have before you go on stage and take on this other identity, and getting your mind and your body right, and then being able to unify what's going on with your body with what's going on in your mind is a really good way to, act truthfully on stage. There's this branch called physical theater, and it's really all about the body. There's different techniques to be aware of certain muscles that act at certain times, or how the bones in your body, how your back is aligned, how to realign your spine, how to, roll your spine. There's different ways to be more aware of the body. And for a while, for many, many years, theater, has really been about the mind and the text, whatever's on the page and whatever I can think of to be able to act truthfully on stage. But the body has often been ignored. There are certain mannerisms that people have. You notice how people walk, how people talk, how people slouch when they sit down, or how someone picks up a cup. There's certain things that once you start to do more contemplative practices with the body, you become more aware of what you do. There's certain techniques that make you aware of certain habits that your body has. Like, I know I have a certain habit of talking with my hands like this all the time, or, slightly slouching. And those are things that when you do those exercises, you're aware that you do those, and you can be able to adapt them to your performance, or you could change it. But even just being aware of the things that your body does, I don't think that people really think, how, someone tilts their head, or how someone crosses their foot, just the little things like that, just being aware of yourself and what you do at that moment.